Close up north.
I think this will work really well as a poster because it shows how restrictive the diagnosis can be.
Richard?
Well, I think it's rather negative. Not too keen on it.
I'm happy with it. I think it'll work.
Why not?
These are designers with a difference, diagnosed schizophrenics. Their brief is to come up with a poster that will shock people into seeing what it's like to be branded mad and bad.
You go into a job centre and say, I've got a diagnosis, and you may as well be tied up in tape.
That's right.
Because you're going to get nowhere.
There's a lot at stake. Tonight, Close Up North reveals services for the mentally ill in parts of the Northwest are in crisis. We investigate whether new schemes being tried out in the region can convince a wary public that care in the community is safe. And we explore how the pioneering use of a new drug in Lancashire could point the way forward in saving money and lives. But the public want protection. Sheila's story was never reported in the press, but those that do make the headlines have made life very hard for the vast majority of people with a mental illness who would never consider harming anyone.
Well, you're not working.
Do you tell them you've got schizophrenia?
I do, yes, yeah. Just tell them straight out.
That you're hoping to give.
Worried that public panic is dictating government policy, a group of people in Manchester who suffer from schizophrenia have set up their own media agency to counteract the negative publicity.
What does the public know about schizophrenia? What they read in the press, what they've seen on TV, what they read in magazines, not the truth.
And you reap the rewards of that every day of your life, don't you? The
just
stigma that's attached to it. It's your life, not...
Yeah.
The general public tend to get most of their information from the media.
That's right.
I mean, they read in the paper something and they take that as truth because it's their paper and their paper wouldn't lie to them.
Tony knows firsthand how hard it is to live with the stigma of mental illness after a single bad spell. He worked in an electronics company until just a few years ago, when a period of great strain in his life left him unable to cope without medical help. After spending time in hospital, he's now back home.
I did become ill and I did lose my grip on reality for a while. But what needs to be appreciated is that I was under a great deal of stress and pressure at the time. I was in a new relationship, very much in love, but very insecure. We were being racially harassed. Our home was being attacked with graffiti and smashed windows. I wasn't sleeping properly. I had to leave my job. And there were all these kinds of pressures. So I became ill. Carrying around with us all over the place. At no time before, since, or after, or whilst I was ill, have I ever shown any violent behaviour towards anybody. Because violence is not a symptom of schizophrenia. We're all individuals, and either you have the potential for violence or you don't. That's not a word, surely.
Yes.
Ut.
Yes, it is. It's on there.
Should call this game Squabble.
While Tony is determined not to be lumped in with those mentally ill people that do act violently, he welcomes a supportive attitude. In fact, he's sure that the support of his family has been crucial in helping him move on from his bout of mental illness.
It's my goal to get off. Ooh.
Medication keeps his illness in check. He has regular visits from a social worker and is coping well. An example of how care in the community can work. But he argues that the decision on whether to take drugs is for the individual, not public opinion or politicians.
The government is throwing legislation at community care, more legislation, which is all about control and supervision. And what they need to be throwing at community care is more resources.
In time, somebody may be able to come in to the doctor, have a blood test, put on some medication, and that's the end of it. And they never need to see people like me again. They're just well, like treating an infection. That thought is absolutely amazing.
I'd say that was poppycock, to be honest with you, because clozapine, from what I'm aware of clozapine, it has some terrible side effects that need looking into before made available across the board in mental health. And one of the worst side effects being death.
While science pushes on to find a chemical cure, the problems and solutions of looking after the mentally ill will remain a responsibility for us all.
I'd say that care and support are the primary needs, and medication is a secondary.
When we put ourselves in their shoes, they must be feeling that they're being treated as second best, and it must be very distressing for someone to sit in casualty thinking that they must be the forgotten people.